All right, we're going to be getting started momentarily, just confirming the audio. All right, it sounds like the audio is working. Just want to confirm on all the platforms. Okay, great. So we're happy to present a great topic that's we hear a lot about from prospective clients who are considering using their retirement money to fund the startup or purchase of a business, specifically via what they call a rollover as business startup or ROBS 401k business financing. So we wanted to take today's session to go over the pros and cons of using a rollover as business startup for business financing, specifically with your retirement money. So we're going to first jump into some housekeeping, then go over those ROBS 401k basics, then the top pros and the top cons, and then any questions that might be presented in the meantime. So the presentation is being provided for educational purposes only and should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice, nor as a solicitation. When making an investment decision, please consult with your tax attorney and financial professional. If you are watching on the other platforms, such as LinkedIn or YouTube, you can join at mysolo401k.net/my community. Joining will give you access to this daily live Zoom calls where you can ask questions. You can also ask questions 24/7 in our forums. So like I mentioned, we have a live Zoom call. We go live every day at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. For example, tomorrow we'll be back talking about the advantage of a crypto solo 401k over a crypto IRA, specifically how a crypto solo 401k will give you additional exchange options. You can also post questions 24/7 in our forums, where you can see that people are posting questions throughout the day. And it's a great way to learn and to share the knowledge. So all are welcome. It's free to join. Now let's jump in with the basics of what is a ROBS 401k. So as stated at the top, it's also referred to as a rollover as business startup. It's a transaction that allows you to use your retirement money to start or buy a business without having to pay taxes or penalties. So in order to be able to use a ROBS 401k to fund your business, you are going to have to satisfy or comply with certain key requirements. So first off, you have to have money that's eligible to be rolled over. So that means money that's in a former employer plan or a non-Roth IRA. So for example, funds that are in a Roth IRA cannot be rolled over to any type of 401k, including a ROBS 401k. Moreover, money that's in a current employer plan, you're almost always not going to be able to transfer it until you actually leave your job. Now, I say almost always because there can be exceptions. For example, if you're over 59 and a half, or typically if the money that you want to roll out of your current employer plan is money that you had rolled in from a previous employer plan. At least usually the administrator will allow you to roll out the money that you rolled in. The best thing to do if you have money in a current employer plan and you want to determine if you can access that money to fund the business via a ROBS 401k without having to leave your job is to simply just call the administrator, and you can ask a simple question of whether or not you can roll the money over to an IRA. So if they tell you that you can roll the money over to an IRA without having to leave your job, then that's a good indication you're going to be able to use that money to fund a business via a ROBS 401k without having to leave your job. Another key ROBS requirement is that you need to use the money to start or buy an active business. The technical term is an operating company. So a common example would be a company that's providing goods or services. So think like a restaurant, or it could be a service franchise. or it could be an independent, non-franchise business. Another fundamental requirement is that you have to operate the business as a corporation, so not an LLC, but a corporation filed with the Secretary of State, where that corporation is taxed as a C corporation. So it cannot be taxed, for example, as an S corporation. And then finally, one of the last key ROBS requirement that we want to highlight is that you need to work in the business as a bona fide employee. So a good rule of thumb there is working at least 1,000 hours per year. So the whole way that you're able to invest the money without having to pay taxes or penalties is that you're transferring the retirement money to your new employer plan and then investing the funds through that 401k into the business. So it's not a withdrawal, it's an investment. So the first step is to roll the money over to the new employer plan. So in order for you to be able to participate in that new employer plan, you need to be an employee of that new C corporation, hence the bona fide employee requirement. So now let's go over the key ROBS 401k steps. So step one is to incorporate a C corporation. Then once those articles have been issued by the Secretary of State, such that the C corporation exists, the C corporation would then sponsor a new 401k plan. You, as a day one employee, would be able to participate right away, roll over money from, again, a former employer plan or non-Roth IRA into the new 401k account. And then the funds can be transferred from that new 401k account over to an account for the business, for that C corporation. And what you're doing is you're investing into the stock of the C corporation. So the corporation would issue stock to the 401k for your benefit based on the funds invested. Once the money clears into the business bank account of the C corporation, step 5, can use the funds for any type of legitimate business purpose, including buying or starting a business. So thank you again. If you're on the other platforms, please join at mysolo401k.net/my community so you can get access to our daily live Zoom links where you can ask questions. You can also post questions 24/7 in our forums. So it's free to join and all are welcome. So now we're going to turn to the pros and cons of using your retirement money to fund a business via a rollover as business startup, or what's also called a ROBS 401k. So we're going to start with the pros. So pro number 1 is that you're able to invest your retirement money without incurring taxes or penalties. So the alternative would be if you just took a distribution, took a withdrawal, let's say you had $100,000 in your non-Roth IRA. So of course, one option is you could just take the money out of your IRA, but that's going to be a taxable distribution. It's going to be included in your taxable income and therefore subject to income tax. And if you're under 59.5, you would have to pay a 10% penalty. So by following this ROBS 401k process, you're able to invest all of the money and it's not considered to be a taxable distribution. It's considered to be a rollover to your new 401k plan and then an investment through that same 401k. So therefore, it's not a taxable distribution. The next pro is that you're able to start or buy a business totally debt-free because the money that's invested via the ROBS 401k is going to be structured. It has to be structured as a stock purchase. So it's not a loan from your 401k. Instead, you're buying stock in your new employer, this new C corporation through the 401k. So the corporation doesn't have to pay the money back to your 401k. No loan payments are required. Ultimately, this is going to often help your business from a cash flow perspective. You're going to be able to keep money in the business to grow the business. So that can be a key to your success. You're able to, again, start or buy a business and not have to take on debt in order to do that. Our next pro is that you're able to access this money with no credit score, no guarantee, no underwriting requirements. And this again stems from the fact that the investment is not a loan. Really, you're just taking money that you already have and you're investing it in your own business, taking money that's already in your retirement account and investing it, not as a loan, but as a stock purchase into your own business. So there's not going to be a approval process, an underwriting process like you might have if you were, or like you certainly would have if you're getting a business loan. There's no credit score requirement. There's no personal guarantee, right? None of those things that apply if you were obtaining, for example, a loan to start a business. So we'll pause. And again, if you're on the other platforms, please join at mysolo401k.net/my-community. It's free to join. All are welcome. We have daily live webinars. By joining, you'll get access to the direct Zoom link. You'll also be able to post questions 24/7 in our forums. All right, let's keep going through the pros. So another pro of the ROBS 401k is you're able to access the money quickly. So, and again, this stems from the fact that there's not a loan, so there's no underwriting or approval process. So you're going to be able to invest those retirement funds that are in your former employer plan and or your non-Roth IRA quickly, you know, in a relative sense. Typically, you're able to access the funds in about 3 weeks. Your biggest X factor is where you're rolling the money over from. For example, if you just left your job, you're not going to be able to start that process until the administrator has been notified by the HR department that you're no longer working for the employer, right? And that might take some time for just to go through that notification process. So that would be an example where it might take a little bit more than the 3-week time frame. Now, we talked about how this is not going to, the ROBS 401k investment is not structured as a loan, but that doesn't mean you can't get a business loan. As a matter of fact, there's a large number of folks that are using the ROBS 401k as a down payment on a loan, whether that's an SBA loan or a non-SBA loan, or even maybe seller financing if you're buying a business. So again, the proceeds of the ROBS 401k investment may be used as a down payment to qualify for an SBA or other business loan. Effectively, this means you're able to leverage those retirement funds to maybe buy a bigger business, right? You might have $200,000 in your retirement account, and now but you're able to leverage the money through a loan or seller financing to maybe buy a $500,000 business, just to take a simple example. Next pro is that you're able to invest your retirement money in yourself. So with the ROBS 401k, you know, effectively you're investing in yourself because the funds are invested in your own business, right? You might be the only employee on day one, right? So you are now, instead of investing in a Wall Street stock type investment, like a mutual fund or whatever the case may be, you're investing in this C corporation that you have complete control over in terms of its success, et cetera. Moreover, that it might mean that you're investing more in what you know, as opposed to investing again in the stock market or mutual funds or other investments where you may not have a lot of knowledge or familiarity with. So we'll stop again and thank you for, if you're watching on the other platforms, please join at mysolo401k.net/my-community. It's free to join. All are welcome. You get access to these daily live Zoom calls where you can ask questions as well as post questions in our forums 24/7. So now let's flip over and talk about the cons of using a rollover as business startup or a ROBS 401k to invest your retirement money in your own business. So of course you may lose your business, right? Not all businesses are guaranteed to be successful. So the business ultimately may not succeed, which means that you would, of course, lose your business and potentially the money that you've invested. In this case, your retirement savings. So you may lose your business and your retirement savings. If the business that is funded with your retirement funds fails, you may also ultimately lose all or a significant part of the retirement funds invested in the business. You must satisfy the ROBS 401k requirements, including the ones that we highlighted at the beginning of the presentation. And remember, one of the ones that we highlighted is that you must operate the business as a C corporation. So if you were funding the purchase or startup of a business with, say, personal savings that you have, you're free to operate the business however you want. Your tax advisor may say, hey, you should operate as a single member LLC, or you should operate as an S Corp for tax reasons or some other good business reason. But if you're going to go down this path, you have to satisfy those ROBS 401k requirements, which means that as long as you own part of the business via the ROBS 401k, the business must be operated as a C corporation. Moreover, you must maintain a 401k plan. So setting up a 401k for your business is not just a one-time event. It needs to be maintained and kept in compliance. Now, of course, as part of our services, we provide the ongoing compliance support for the 401k. But examples of what that means is that the plan would have to be offered to eligible employees. There's going to be an annual filing requirement for the 401k, an informational tax return called the Form 5500. As part of that information that needs to be reported on that Form 5500, you need to report the value of the investments in the 401k. So in order to determine the value of the stock that's in the 401k, you'll need to know the value of the business. Hence, there's an annual valuation requirement. So there's other, of course, requirements above and beyond that, but here are some key ones that are going to apply if you choose to go down this path. So thank you again. If you're watching on the other platforms, please join at mysolo401k.net/my community to get access to these daily live Zoom links where you can ask questions. And you can also ask questions in our forums 24/7. All right, so that takes us to the end of the presentation. So thank you so much again for the participation. I'll just highlight again that we'll be back here tomorrow on our community, as we always are, at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow's session, we'll be talking about the advantages of a crypto solo 401k over a crypto IRA, specifically how a crypto solo 401k will present you more exchange investment options. And then we'll be back on Friday with our open session where you folks bring questions and we share frequently asked questions. So it's a great way to learn and to share the knowledge. You can also, by joining, get access to our forums where you can post questions and replies to other people's forum posts. So thanks again. Thanks so much and all the best.